Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Thanks for your time. Well, let me introduce myself first. My name is Siti Maria Ulfa. I'm from Big A, the 6th semester. Today I will explain about my presentation under the title Error Analysis on the Using Passive Voice. I will explain one by one from the abstract to the end. Well, I will explain about the abstract. In the abstract, I explain about four things. The first is what the purpose from this research, and the second is who is the object, and the third is about the method, and the last is about the result. The purpose from this research are to find out and analyze about the error analysis in passive voice, and the second is to find out what it caused this error. And the next is about the introduction. Language is a communication tool that is meant for delivering or transferring information to others, and English is one of the language. English is an international language that is important to develop science and technology. In learning English, we have to know four skills. The first is reading, the second is listening, and the third is writing, and the last is speaking. Besides that, we have to know about the grammar. Grammar is analyzing grammatical form, grammatical use, and grammatical meaning. And passive voice is one of the grammar. And the next is about literature review. In the literature review, I will explain about definition error. As a student in a learning foreign language, make some error can be avoidable for the students. Error can indicate as a new system that wrong from the rule of English language. And the second is about source of error. There are four sources of error. The first is intralingual transfer, and the second is interlingual transfer, and the third is context learning, and the last is communicative strategy. The first about intralingual transfer. Intralingual transfer caused by interference of the learner's mother tongue. Language transfer causes errors resulting from complicated system of the target language itself. And the third is about the context learning. The context learning is different from intralingual transfer and interlingual transfer. Context refers to the classroom with its teacher and material in the school learning. The students often make some error because the teacher have a misleading in exploration about the passive voice. And the next is about the procedure of error analysis. There are four procedures of the error analysis. Chams explain the procedure error analysis. The first is error detection is stage of identification in which the analyzer realizes the error happened. And the second is error location means to locating the error detected before. And the third is error description is explaining the error happened. And the last is error classification. It's about the procedure of error analysis. Chams explain the procedure of analysis. There are four. The first is error detection is a stage of identification in which analyzer realizes the error happened. And the second is error location means to locate the error detected before. And the third is error description is explaining the error happened. And the last is error classification is the step to classify the errors, whether the errors belong to subject and verb agreement or tense. And the next is about definition of the passive voice. Many experts have stated some definition of passive voice. Another opinion states the passive voice denotes that the subject receives the action. It is from words And the next is about form of passive voice. Based on Hancock, passive voice is divided into 12. The first is present plus passive, and the second is present plus continuous plus passive, and the third is past plus passive, and the fourth is past plus continuous plus passive, and the fifth is present plus perfect plus passive, and the next is past plus perfect plus passive, and the next is present plus perfect continuous plus passive, and the next is past plus perfect plus continuous plus passive, and the next is modal plus passive, and the next is present plus future plus passive, and the next is past plus future plus passive, and the next is modal plus perfect plus continuous plus passive. Next is about the method of the research. The method from this research is the qualitative method. There are three ways to collect the data. The first is interview. I had interviewed the teacher and the students about the error and using passive voice. And the second is observation about the teacher and the material to teach the students about the passive voice. And last is test. Last is test. I have 20 items to work by students. It's so simple. Just change the active voice to the passive voice. And the next is about the findings. The research or me find two kind of the error in this research. The first is global error and the second is local error. The first global error, there are 15.30% error in the global error, and the second is local error. There are 84.61% error in the local error. Next is about what the cause from this error. There are four classification of the cause from this error. The first is verb 3. There are some verb 3 that error 14.55%, and pronoun is 13.61% error. Subject or object, there are 24.16 errors, and use B, there are 16.11% error. And the next is about the conclusion. Based on the analysis and interpretation in the previous chapter, it can be concluded that the heights until the lowest frequency and the percentage of errors made by students derives from misformation of passive verb the writer gave a 20-item highest until the lowest frequency and the percentage of errors made by students derives from global error with 231 errors or 84.61%, local error with 42 errors or 15.39%, and hikes until the lowest frequency and the percentage of errors in misformation error made by students derives from part 3, object, pronoun, subject, object, and V. Well, I think that's all about my presentation. And in the last, I want to say, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.